the Epic systems. Ooh, got it. That was loud. So I went ahead and just did sort of like a PowerPoint presentation so that I could like sort of white out some patient information and things like that, just so that it's, you know, a little bit more HIPAA, I guess. I don't know, compliant. So I'm going to see if I can do this. I'm not very good with technology, believe it or not. I was going to try to see if how do I start the video thing? How do I do that? Does anybody know?
Share screen, please.
Yeah, I was looking for that and it went away. I don't know where it went. All right, so I'll share the screen, I guess, first, and then I'll try to pull everything else up. How's that sound?
Good.
We'll try it. I do not guarantee pretty much anything. As I said, I'm not very technologically savvy. I can do all this, but it's like some of these things are just like, why are you doing this? All right, so I'm not sure that you're seeing anything. Can you see anything?
We are
No.
able to see your screen.
Okay, so I'm going to pull this up and see if this will work.
If everybody else would please mute until you have a question.
Okay. Can you see the PowerPoint? Hopefully. No? Yes?
Yes, Gail, we can see the PowerPoint.
Perfect. Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to, hopefully I'll be able to get through this, and you can ask questions as we go, but it may make more sense as I go along. I'll try to explain what I'm going to do. So this is basically the report that I created, which is this PICU research patient report that just uses some criteria for the patient being in the ICU, a few other things. And then it gives some columns for the things that they were interested in looking at, which included values and dates for labs that were drawn, as well as information about ventilator, some medications, inotropes, heparin specifically, some LDAs, airway, things like that. So, and then our ventilator type, just different bits that they were interested in. So this is just kind of how it looks when we run it. And what would go here would be the demographics, but I've highlighted those out. So this is how the print group looks as when you highlight a patient. This is the details report at the bottom. I'm just going to go through these kind of fast, but this just shows like the airways that they're on with some additional information that they wanted. This is just using a standard Epic print group and configuring it a little bit to show this additional information, as well as like the days they've been on those LDAs. Again, this is just another LDA report. Same thing. We also wanted to show the vitals. They wanted the min and the max for like a 24-hour period. Rather than each individual vital. So they chose which vitals they wanted to sort of display. And this, again, is just a standard Epic print group that we sort of configured. The next thing that they wanted was their active problem list. And for us, we also have it configured to show in case they put like an overview note in it as well. So again, that's just Epic standard print groups using their parameters. And there's two print groups. One has the inotrope and the vasopressors that shows what they're on with their frequency. And then also we have one that shows like if they have had, if they have pack cells ordered or being transfused, so they can see that. So those are those two print groups. Then this gets into some of the more details based on the columns. So we have some things about their respiratory panel, which will have like a variety of different infectious agents, if you will. They can hover over this to see some more information. Again, it displays all of that. If they had the rapid flu, that would show whether it was positive as well. So those are the results. These print groups, again, they are Epic standard. This will hyperlink them to the results page in the patient chart, so they can go and see more information if they need it, because as you see, we have it only listed for the last about 168 hours. They figured anything beyond that wasn't as pertinent. We do have a couple of lab print groups that we've displayed as well. These show about the last, I think, 3 or so values. They can see, you know, how they're doing, if there's anything that they are interested in looking at or following, I suppose. Again, Epic Standard Print Groups, we just use our components to put that in there so they could see that. And then the last thing that we did, we created a research note and a note type so that we can filter that. So this is actually the print group, this part where it just has like this hyperlink. Once you hyperlink that, then you can see the entire note. So you can, you know, they can just review that. It doesn't take up too much space then, but they can see that the note was written. Let's see. So this is just about the specifics about the different report columns that we created for the specific LDAs. So if they have one based on this text extension, we chose the LDA type, and then based on that, whether that came true, then it will show either the green check mark or it'll show the X to show that they don't have that. So that's kind of what we did for that one. I think that this is, excuse me, for the ventilator type. Again, we have an extension that we're using to be able to pull the appropriate ventilators that they are interested in. And it's looking specifically at an order specific question and if that's been answered. So that's how that one works. And this is the extension, looking at the procedure and the question. So again, these are just Epic standard things that we did. We just configured them a little bit. And then we have also, I don't know if you saw the column. Couldn't really find anybody that was on ECMO, but this is basically the ECMO. So this is looking particularly at a flow sheet, and this is our flow sheet that they document the ECMO on. So that's how they did that. And this gets into our the infection array. We're just using, this is a standard Epic text extension with the parameter of our result component. So that's how we did that. And this is also to show the time, the date, I guess the date that it was done. Same goes for the hemoglobin, works the same way. And then we do have, this is the columns that you would see. They did have some things that they wanted to have in the columns that were more a persistent lab, if you will, rather than what shows in the detail report. So while we have a value and a date up here, it's not appearing here because these are looking at a short period of time for hours in the past. So that they wanted the persistence in the column. So that's how we have those there as persistent. So you would see them. And then this is just our report in the build side of things. So this is what we did. These are all the print groups that we put in there. And then in showing how some of these are set up. So this is set up to choose the airways that we wanted, that they were interested in, to show some additional information. So again, Epic Standard, we just built it. Same for the vitals. We're looking at specific vital specific flow sheets that we use that they wanted to see for the mins and the maxes. So that's how that one was done. And then on the vitals, I'm trying to remember what this one is. Oh, it's just to show again that this is just showing the flow value for the min and max, and this is how it's seen, like in record viewer. The problem list, again, we've just configured that for ourselves. This is an Epic standard print group. We did not use the code template. I think this is a very old print group that we use all throughout the system. So this is built using just the parameters that are there and just this problem list, active problem list. For the inotropes, what we used here were a medication grouper. So this medication grouper is the one that contains all of our inotropes and vasopressors together so that we can have them displaying. We're showing an unadministered orders as well as administration details looking back 48 hours. So that's how we did that one. And blood bank is a little different. That print group specifically, this is sort of like the title page of that print group. And then when you get into some of the order display settings, we do use an extension for that to show that information in terms of, you know, showing comments for the order specific questions and things along those lines and how they wanted to display it. And this is the extension that we used. The extension actually looks to two other extensions that are Epic standard extensions. And this is just looking at the process instructions as well as additional order information. So that's how we did that one. And then you get to the next screen for the blood bank orders, and you're going to, these are where those extensions came in. And then you have the order type, a couple of order types that we have, what the status of that order was, if it was sent, as well as we put in a procedure category in order to be able to display some of that information. Again, these are those filters for the filtering for the blood, looking at order start and end times. And this is just those categories of the blood bank orderables and our transfusion orderables and how those are sort of set up. Those are the two categories we were using in order to be able to pull in the blood, that if they were receiving blood. Down to these are just the three different print groups. They're all basically pretty much built the same. We use, again, the component with the component display names, depending on what you have, that's where how you'll do that. Looking back in the hours, this is the hyperlink to the lab review. And let's see, again, just the regular lab. This is the CBC, for example. And, you know, we're using the component name with a different display name because that's what made sense to them. And this is how we did the notes. This is our specific note type for the research notes. So we can display hyperlinks for the most recent. And that is pretty much it. Pretty fast, but I didn't know exactly what you needed to know. Hello?
Thank you, Gail. Questions, anybody?
Hi, my name is Melissa Colmar. I'm in Omaha. I apologize. I was not able to have an Epic person join me. Would you be willing to put up one of your screens where you show how you limited the look back? Because the problem that I'm having with the report that we're trying to build is it'll show like bilirubins from 6 years ago when they were a neonate.
Yeah, hang on one second. Let me pull that up again.
And do you mind if I take a screenshot of what you
yeah,
show
I mean,
me
because I don't have,
person?
Sure, or I can send this out because it's just a PowerPoint slide.
That would be amazing if I could share
send
that.
It out, but I gotta remember now how I got to share the screen. Like I said, I'm a little bit, oh, here we go. Why does it keep moving? I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna try to share my screen again. We'll try it and see what we get. Let's see. Are we sharing anything? Anybody see anything? How are we going here?
Yep.
What are you seeing? Seeing sort of something?
Yep.
A little something. Let's see if I can pull this up again. Well, now it won't work right, will it? Dagnabbit. All right. I guess, can I do that? Will it show the one? No. Why does it not show? What is it doing? Again, technology. Gotta love it. Anyway, can you see this screen? This is how we limit it. It's in the look back hours.
Okay.
And so this is particularly for labs that have a result component. And then again, these are for our respiratory labs. Again, it's just the look back hours in the print group itself. So sometimes you can limit it. If you're using a rule to display something in a column, you can use the rule to have a look back in the rule. But this is just how we chose to do it because of how they wanted to see so many things. And that's in the detail report. So in the columns, that's a little different. Let me get back to my columns and see if I can find that. So in the columns, what we did to get the last value is we used this Epic release text extension, the IMV last lab value and date. And then you put your parameter in there. So depending on how you're doing it or what you want, how you want to see it, that's kind of how we did that.
Oh, I think
Does
that
that
is
make
what we're
sense?
doing. We just sometimes have kids that haven't had a bilirubin since they were neonate.
Well, you can also limit that if you wanted to. We didn't, but you could in the contact specific. If you make that a yes, then it would only show for that contact of that hospitalization.
Oh, okay.
So that's the other way that you can do that as well.
Thank you.
By having it be the no, it gives it so that it's the persistent lab, the persistent value. So if you change that to a yes, you should be okay.
Okay. I have one other question.
Mm-hmm.
When a kid is on ECMO, does it stay in your column forever, or does it go away when they come up?
We don't really have too many kids on ECMO, but it is only contact specific for us. We planned it that way so that, in other words, only for that hospitalization.
Right,
So
but if they come
back
off
for another
ECMO,
hospitalization,
it wouldn't go away, and if they went back on, it wouldn't go back on.
I believe so. Like I say, we haven't had that many kids on ECMO lately. Now I say that now we'll have them, but
Okay.
I think that for that extension, let me see really quick here.
Okay. Thank you.
4, 5. Okay. I'm just going to show you what I'm looking up. I'm just looking up the parameter values of what the different parameters mean for that particular programming point in terms of how you can decide what you're going to see. And I'm looking to see about the comments. So piece number 6 in this particular parameter, you'd have to create a new programming point, and then you'd have to set this item. So if you wanted to see it, we have it set to null, which would be the last filed flow sheet value. So there's nothing that's been returned. I don't know if there's a time on this one though. You could put the date and the time in. Of course, and who recorded it, but that's kind of a little much more than you need. Yeah, I mean, other than using probably a different programming point in order to be able to, you can use a rule programming point to evaluate a rule that you can put the look back on. We've done that. I've done that with many other things. So you could use a rule looking for that flow sheet value for the last filed, and you can have a look back in terms of time. And then in your column, then your column is going to be using the evaluate rule LPP. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Let's see if I can pull that up. Of course, now I can't find what I want. You know how Epic is. You have to type things in a few different ways to see if you can find it. So this is one that we will use sometimes. This is just evaluating a rule. You would create your own, and then in the parameter, you would put the the rule that you're looking for. So there's only one parameter. There's a couple of other ones. I just can't find them off the top of my head here.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, I can't find the other one that we usually use either. Oh, there it is. My mind's a blank today. Sorry. So anyways, any other questions?
Hi, Gail. This is Janice from Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. I did have a question. For any of these items that you're pulling onto the report, are all of them, are all of these fields or all of these items already in Epic, or were there any items that you had to build out in order to be able to, they're all currently there?
Yes, because these are, it's kind of blurry, I'm sorry. Because these are just lab values. So, you know, your lab, if you're, you know, putting the labs into Epic, then they're going to be there. If they're documenting the meds are going to be there. If you're documenting LDAs are going to be there. I mean, everything was pretty much there. I think some of the only things that I had to do is that some of the labs that they wanted, we didn't have a component common name or a base name potentially. So you may have to set that up in order to make sure that you're, you know, pulling what you want. Yeah, I mean, in the order specific question is in the order, so that's there. Language, we pull that from the demographics, and, you know, and things like that. So, I mean, really everything was already there. We just did a little bit of tweaking. And I know when I worked with Lisa Steele and working on this in the initial stages of this, you know, we had several different iterations because if it didn't display exactly what they wanted, or like there were things like with the LDA where initially we were using a different print group and it was pulling in things that they didn't really care so much about. And so we pulled out some of the LDAs, put in some additional LDAs, like we put in the external ventricular drain. And, you know, it wasn't showing necessarily like placement information. I think it was just showing the LDA name and the number of days, but they really wanted some additional information in that detailed report. So this is when you highlight a patient on the list. And then this is the, you know, this is the beginnings of that report that you get. So, you know, while you can see a lot of what's going on here, and I apologize if that's blurry, but it's kind of small. Then you, you know, they wanted more information that they could look at too, instead of just the check mark. So that's why we did it that way.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Gail, it's Kathleen Jennings from Michigan Medicine. And maybe you said this and I missed it.
That's okay.
Did you start with just an inpatient generic criteria report template?
Yes, I can tell you that really quick. Hang on. Maybe I can tell you. I don't know. It was the find patient template.
Okay.
The generic, this is generic find patient, not inpatient. I'm not sure why I didn't use the inpatient one, but that's the one we used.
Okay.
I'm sure you could use the find inpatient as well. Let me see what other and actually this was had been started by somebody else, but is tagged for admitted patients by department. So, because they only wanted specific departments.
Right.
So that's kind of how we tagged them.
I think you're right. I think you could have used inpatient or what you used.
Yeah. So here's just how we did this, because those are the only ones they wanted.
Do you have the a copy of the request that the either Lisa or Josie sent you to request to build this research report?
I would doubt it. This was built way back in the day. And I don't know. I mean, I might have like a recent one where they've maybe added something, but I'm sure, because we've changed over from our change management system to a different system. Not in the Epic side of things, but in the non-Epic side of things, which is where these would have come to us to begin with. Does that make sense? In other words, that database isn't available anymore. And I don't know if Lisa would have the criteria or not.
Thank you, Gail.
Yeah, sorry.
Any other questions, anyone? Okay. So I made a recording. Is it okay if I stop recording right now?